Hey guys, it's almost Christmas time, so that means I gotta start making my Christmas gifts. This year, I'm making something that I've been seeing all over social media, these hot chocolate bombs. But of course, I'm gonna make them keto, and I'm gonna show you a couple different things that we can make keto also to add into these hot chocolate bombs to make them even more special. So let's get started. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. My name's Alicia and I'm a sous chef with a sweet tooth. I'm so excited. I finally found a way to make a keto caramel sauce from scratch. I took a normal recipe and I figured out that if you use allulose, it will not crystallize on you and it'll stay nice and creamy. We're gonna start there because we don't want our caramel sauce too hot to put into our hot chocolate bombs. Otherwise, the chocolate will just melt. I have 1 cup of allulose here. I need 1/3 cup of water. I'm just gonna put it around the edge of the pan to try and keep all of the sugar crystals away from the edge of the pot. If you see it crystallizing, you can just put a lid on it and cook it for about 2 minutes, and the condensation from the lid will drip off onto the sides of the pot and it will stop the crystallization process. I'm gonna turn it real low. I'm gonna give this a stir, which you're really not supposed to stir the sugar, but because our sugar isn't really a normal kind of sugar, I try to keep it from getting too hot on the bottom. I don't want it to scorch while we're waiting for it all to dissolve in the water. So once this all dissolves, I'm gonna pop a lid on it for about 2 minutes, and then we gotta cook it until it's a golden brown, the color of honey. Then all we have left to add is a little bit of heavy cream, well, 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons. I'm doing salted butter to make it a little bit salty of a caramel sauce, and just a teaspoon of vanilla extract. As you can see, it's starting to get a little bit darker. You want to have all your stuff ready to go right next to you because it's going to happen fast. You want to stop the cooking of the sugar with your heavy cream and butter. Okay, when it's that color, turn off your heat. Carefully add in your heavy cream. It may splatter. You want to give it a whisk until it's all nice and combined. And then add in butter and your vanilla extract. Once all the butter's melted, put it in a dish or a jar. Let it cool at room temperature. You can store it at room temperature. I did for about a week and it was fine. But you can also store it in the refrigerator and it doesn't get super thick. So normally I would leave this out at room temperature, but because I need it for this video, I'm gonna pop it in the refrigerator right now. Now another thing that I'm gonna be making today is something that I was trying so hard to make, peppermint candy. I thought, well, as soon as I made that caramel with the allulose, I thought, awesome, I can make hard candy with it. It's cooking up just like you would regular sugar. So I tried and it never hardened and I was very disappointed. So I read online that you could use xylitol and make suckers and hard candy. So I tried that and it turned out okay. It did harden, but it crystallized. It was like crunchy candy. It wasn't a smooth sugar. And then I was looking up videos online and a candy maker was making their sugar-free candy and they said they used Isomalt sugar. Now this is something I used in college, in pastry school, and you use it for sugar work on all the competition pastry shows and where they make the big sculptures with the sugar, they use Isomalt. And I'm like, wait, how are they making sugar-free candy with Isomalt? I look it up, it's a sugar alcohol. I'm like, yay, I can finally do this. So I linked below in the recipe her method of doing it, which turned out perfect. It was just using the microwave. So that's what we're gonna do. So all you do is grab 1 cup of the Isomalt, cover it with a tiny piece of plastic wrap, like literally just not touching the sugar, because my plastic wrap actually did melt. Because when this comes out of the microwave, it's gonna be 350. I'm just putting it around the very top of it. So while that's going, I'm gonna get my red food dye ready to go. Because we're gonna put that in the melted sugar. And then I did buy white food coloring. This is optional, obviously. And you do kind of want to take the temperature of this. It says in the recipe to wait until it gets down to 310 to add your extract. As you can maybe see, it's kind of bubbling a little bit. Right now, she tells you in the recipe to take this off. Maybe to let the air escape and to kind of see what you're doing. You want to get the granules all coated in the melted sugar. She didn't say to stir it or anything. She said just to move it around a little bit and then cover it with another piece of plastic wrap. Hate this plastic wrap. Plastic wrap we have in restaurants is so much better than that stuff, and it annoys me when I have to use it. 30-second intervals. Okay, it is almost all melted. There's just a tiny bit right here. So another 30 seconds and all that sugar should be melted. You should have a silk pat ready to go. Okay, I think that should be good. Be careful with the handle, it will be hot. That was at 365, so we're gonna let that cool for a little bit. I have a silicone spatula here, something that's gonna be heat proof for this sugar. And do not get this on your skin. It will burn, and because it sticks, it'll burn even worse because you can't get it off. So be very, very careful. Okay, we are just about there. So I am going to take 1 tablespoon of peppermint extract, pour that in, give it a stir. Don't inhale when you do that. Whew, cleared out my nostrils. I'm just gonna put a little bit of red food coloring on top, a little bit of the white. I'm just gonna swirl that in. Your glass is really hot still, so be careful. You can also just add 1 color and mix it, 1 color and mix it. That way you don't get the pink really, but just pour it out on your silk pat. This hardens up relatively quickly. I'm actually going to spread it out this time because the last time I didn't, it was a little too thick and it was harder to crack into little pieces. Can't believe it's a sugar alcohol. It does have calories in it though. So it's not calorie free, but it is sugar free. It does not spike your blood sugar. While it's on here, you can even add more dye if you want and make it more red. But if you pull it away too much, it will become a string that hardens super fast. It's crazy. But we're just going to be breaking this up anyways. We just want the peppermint candies to decorate. We're just going to let that cool. I do have some that I did the other day when I was testing how much peppermint I wanted. So I just put all of the big pieces into a bag and just smashed them with a rolling pin and then put them into a new bag because the bag was all broken up. Then I just use a big hole strainer so you can get out all the separate chunks. Sprinkle sprinkles. So we can put these inside the bombs and then decorate the outside with those. Okay, we're almost ready to start the bombs. The last thing will be to make the actual hot cocoa mix. Now I did a lot of experimenting and I think it's the best with some heavy cream powder because with us using like an unsweetened cashew milk or water, it does work in water. I did try it that way and it was decent, but the heavy cream powder adds that little bit of creaminess. So I'm gonna make a big batch of hot cocoa mix because I gotta make like 150 of these for my whole family. Pretty much just equal parts, a good quality cocoa powder, a powdered monk fruit sweetener, but you can use any kind of alternative sweetener you want, and then a cup of the heavy cream powder. And you just want to make sure you sift it all so there's no clumps and you can get really nice even scoops into your hot chocolate bombs. I'm just gonna make a 3-cup batch, 1 cup of everything. I'm just gonna weigh this, make it easier because it is very clumpy, which is why I want it sifted. Then we're just gonna do 1 cup of the heavy cream powder. We're just gonna give this a little whisk together. All the difference is gonna be in stuff you add to this, if it has more sugar in it, and what kind of chocolates you use. So if you're using dark chocolate, you might want to make sure you put something else in there that's sweeter because the hot chocolate mix itself might not be sweet enough to sweeten it up when you use dark chocolate. With milk chocolate, it may be plenty sweet. You might just want to add a couple marshmallows or a little bit of espresso powder is what I'm going to be making a couple of, my instant espresso powder. These are just 4 that I came up with and a couple of tips and tricks here to show you the easiest way to make them keto and not drive yourself crazy. This took me back to pastry school and tempering chocolate. Unfortunately, we're not able to use couverture chocolate, which is basically those candy melts that you get at the store. They're already tempered and they have extra stuff in them to keep them that way. So with chocolate, you don't want to get it too hot. And I'm gonna be doing the seeding method, which basically you heat up some chocolate and then you whisk in unmelted until it gets down to 86-ish. But the rule of thumb is don't have it over 90 degrees and to have it in the 80s range. And you should hopefully get a nice, smooth, shiny chocolate. Because if you don't have it tempered, it will have like a white coating on it that won't be as pretty. But of course, we're gonna decorate these anyways. So if it does happen, we're gonna be melting some chocolate, putting sprinkles on it and stuff like that. So it's not that big a deal. But I want to show you the proper way to do it so that you could try to get it the best possible. but it's not crucial. I would say if you're doing like a small amount of chocolate, do like 15-second intervals because you do not want to overheat it. I'm starting with the dark chocolate. The last time I melted down Lily's, I could not get it smooth no matter how much I tempered. And we're already at 87 degrees and it's barely melted. So I actually added a little bit of coconut oil to my chocolate in order to make it nice and smooth. So I'm going to heat this up a little bit more, but not too much. I'm going to try to seed it and see if I can get it to temper. I might still have to add some coconut oil though. Okay, so that melted it all, but gotta see what we're at with temperature wise. We're at 110. So I'm gonna add in a couple chips. This is about 100 grams of chocolate. It should be enough to do 3 bombs. You just want to keep stirring until that chocolate melts. Problem is at 85 degrees, Lily's chocolate is pretty thick. That's why I added the coconut oil. Still at 93. Most of that chocolate is melted. I'm going to put the rest in and might blast it for just 5 seconds just to give it a little bit more heat to make this easier for the molds. Now we're back to 95, just that little bit of heat. Most of our chocolate's almost melted though. I got these molds on Amazon and put one mold on a sheet tray because we're going to want to put it on something just to put it into the refrigerator for a couple seconds. This stuff does not take long to set up, but as it's setting up, you want to make sure it's on a nice flat surface. Otherwise, you will get dents in your bowls. Okay, so we're down to 89. So hopefully the rest of the chocolate will melt in here. See how thick it is? It's way thicker than a normal chocolate at this temperature. I might still have to add some coconut oil to this though. It is so thick. See what happens when we put it in the molds. Put a big dollop in the middle. You know, I tried this a couple different ways. I tried to do it in 2 sessions, but I found it was easier just to put a little bit extra in, just go right up the sides. And it's best to like pick it up and kind of look, see where you're at, because you think you got all the little holes, but you don't. Just like that. You want to kind of make sure that your edges are a little bit thicker and just make sure you don't have any holes. But yeah, like normal chocolate would be super liquidy right now, but because it's the Lily's, it's pretty much set up. A lot of the videos for the regular hot chocolate bombs, they have you like swirl the chocolate inside the bombs and then dump them out and refrigerate them upside down. But with Lily's chocolate, it's so thick that you don't need to do that really. So I saw one other person doing keto hot chocolate bombs and they used Choc Zero's chocolate chips and they did not seem to have a problem with it setting up too fast. So if you want to try that method instead of the Lily's, go for it. I can find Lily's at a grocery store. I buy it on Thrive, so it's a little bit cheaper. I suggest if you're going to do this, just melt a whole bag of chocolate, make however many you can make. I was trying to do a small amount so that I can kind of show you like how much you'll need for 3 hot chocolate bombs, but it's always easier to melt big batches of chocolate and obviously to temper them because it's going to take you time to temper it than to do just small batches at a time. So this one didn't really get tempered, so we'll see how that guy turns out. We're just going to pop these in the refrigerator for a couple of seconds and then I'm going to get on to making a bunch more. I got 4 of these so I can do all the different kinds at once and then we'll pop them all out. Okay, so let's finish this now. My camera died for the second time. We had to stop for dinner, so it's late into the night at this point. But I did all the other kinds of chocolate. I did the salted caramel, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and white chocolate. I'm going to show you one of each, how the different ways we can decorate, a couple different things I figured out that we could do for our keto decorations, because I could not find keto sprinkles that were Christmas. I could not find keto sugar. So I made my own keto sugar. I just added a little bit of red food coloring to Lakanto granular Monkfruit sweetener. And I got red and I made some green sugar. And then we're going to use our peppermint candy to decorate. I'm going to start a pan heating on very low heat to melt our chocolate to stick our 2 sides together. It's time to pop those out of their molds. We will start with the salted caramel. Now to remove these, you just pull away from the edge, pull up from the bottom. So the salted caramel looked like it was tempered correctly. It's nice and shiny. There's no white on it. They're pretty easy to come out. I mean, they don't really feel too fragile. So to start, we are going to just melt the edges of one of them and then we're gonna fill it. And that's just to get an even edge on it so that you have something good to adhere to. I'm gonna turn my pan off because it seems warm enough. And then I place it in a little cupcake holder. And then I add 2 tablespoons of the hot cocoa mix. We're just gonna drizzle a little bit in there. I cheated and bought some of these keto marshmallows. It's burnt caramel flavored, so that will go good with our salted caramel. So for these, they're kind of big, so I just take my kitchen scissors, cut them into little pieces, put those right on top. And plus, they're not cheap, and I have a lot to make, so just gonna put a couple in each one. There you go. And then to adhere, you melt the second side of your sphere. And you place it right on. Kind of make sure you're lined up and kind of pick it out of here. Just make sure that all your sides are sealed. All your sides are a little melted, so there you go. Put it back down in your cupcake holder and then we can decorate. So I have some white chocolate left over that I melted. So I'm going to remelt this and add a little bit of red food coloring and we're going to do that on top. Keep in mind you don't want to overheat your chocolate. And then adding color to white chocolate is always tricky. If you add too much, it'll seize and then you have to add other stuff to get it to not be seized anymore. Gel food coloring is always a better option for chocolate, less water content. Yeah, that looks good. And so that I remember what all these are, I'm gonna put something on top so that I know what's what. So I'm gonna put a little piece of the marshmallow on top of this one. So I'll know that it's the salted caramel. Now you can do this 2 ways. You can just drizzle it from your bowl, or you can put it into a Ziploc bag and pipe it out. Always fold over the top of your bag so you don't get the outside all messy. You could always do just white and not even worry about coloring it and just use your sugar. Some of our red sugar on. Looks like a cute ornament. And put a little caramel marshmallow on top so that we know the salted caramel. There you have it. 1 down, 3 to go. Okay, next, milk chocolate. The milk chocolate one, I'm just gonna do a traditional hot cocoa with vanilla marshmallows in it. The reason I'm doing this one just marshmallow and hot cocoa is because milk chocolate is the sweetest of all the chocolates from Lily's. So it doesn't need to have a lot of extras added to it. So that's the one I think will be the best, is just a traditional hot cocoa. There's our vanilla marshmallows. Make sure your edges are lined up. Okay, what are we gonna do on this one? I really wish we had more options for our decorating. Unfortunately, I do have regular sprinkles and stuff, but that's for the regular non-keto ones I had to make. We'll do this one with green sprinkles. There you go. Number 2. We clean up our mess. Mess. Forgot to mention, when you're using a piping bag like this, always squeeze the tip when you're not using it. That way it does not run everywhere on you. Okay, now time for my favorite, well, what I think will be my favorite, the white chocolate peppermint mocha. They look good. I should get my milk going so we can try one of these. Excited. Okay, so I'm gonna melt one side. Okay, so white chocolate peppermint mocha. Something that I used to actually order at Starbucks back in the day, but I'd get extra espresso in it, of course. It'd be like an $8 drink, but it was one of my favorites. So for coffee drinks, this is Medaglia d'Oro. It calls for 1 teaspoon for 8 ounces. So that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna take a big pile of our peppermint candy, put it right in the center. I actually meant to put peppermint extract in the white chocolate. You can also do that with all your chocolates. If you want to flavor them a certain way, you can add extracts. Just know that it's a balance between how much water chocolate can take, or any liquid. So if you go too far, it'll seize. But if you add a little bit more, it'll get smooth again. So you just got to find that balance. Looks good. I'm just going to melt a little bit of dark chocolate so that we can decorate this guy. And I chose dark chocolate, which is the hardest to melt, so I added a tiny bit of coconut oil just so this will get nice and smooth and be nice and runny. Drizzle over top. Sorry about the train in the background, but I'm sick of waiting for trains today. And then we're gonna sprinkle with some of our peppermint dust. There you go. White chocolate peppermint. And we can also do a tiny dusting espresso powder so that we know it's coffee in there too. And on to the last one, dark chocolate. So I saw a couple holes in this one, so I just had white chocolate melted when I saw it. So I just filled in a couple patches there. But like I said, no one's gonna see the inside, so you can really get away with whatever you wanna do on there. Like I said, the dark chocolate was the hardest to do, and it's kind of a mess. They look fine on the outside. That's all that matters. They got a couple little air pockets and stuff in them, but if I were you, I would definitely add some coconut oil to dark chocolate because it would make it a lot easier to melt. Okay, so this guy is gonna get 2 tablespoons of the cocoa, and then I have Perfect Keto's chocolate hazelnut butter. We're gonna put a squeeze of that in there. Gotta massage it good. Okay, hopefully that's good. Oh no, I have a leak. Plug it up with some chocolate. So there is our chocolate hazelnut. I chopped some macadamia nuts up just so I know that these have nuts in them. This I'm going to do red and green, I think. There we go. Chocolate hazelnut. Delicious. Clean up and we got to try one of these guys. Okay, I am heating up my cashew milk. Even though I think my favorite would be the white chocolate peppermint mocha, it is now 10 p.m. So I think I'm gonna go with the salted caramel because I have not tried the salted caramel one. We're gonna put that guy in our cup. Okay, it is the moment of truth. Will it burst? Looks delicious with the caramel. Didn't burst as well as I hoped it would, but it happened different every time. Time to try some though. That is salted caramel deliciousness. But this is a great gift. This is something that would be awesome to do with the kids. Christmas Eve, have your hot cocoa bombs by the roaring fire. Open up a few gifts. It's perfect for the holiday season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry if it's a little crazy and all over the place. Camera cut off a couple times. The new one, haven't used it before. So I'm learning as I go, but I hope you guys will stick with me. If you enjoy this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button down there, hitting the thumbs up. Leave a comment if you try these hot cocoa bombs, or if there's other recipes that you want me to show you how to make keto. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back with many more keto dessert recipes. Bye guys.